Progressive era was a time for social and political reform, a time where many fought against corruption and for a better life. One of the most prominent leaders for this time was Theodore Teddy Roosevelt. At the beginning of his political career, Roosevelt was an assistant secretary of the Navy, led a group, the Rough Riders, in the Spanish-American War, and was a governor of New York. He became vice president to William McKinley, but when McKinley was assassinated in 1901, Roosevelt became the 26th President of the United States. After his term was done, Roosevelt ran for the 1904 election and won, completing 2 terms. He decided not to run again, but when the 1912 election came around, he was determined to run again, but he failed to win. Theodore Roosevelt wanted to help change many things to better the citizens of the United States. Thousands of acres reserved to not be used, but with lumber people chopping down trees unchecked, those forests grew smaller. He had many Forest Service make sure land was not being used for money. He was the one who implemented majority of the national parks and monuments we have today and was nicknamed the Conservation President. Another main thing Roosevelt wanted to change was big, rich corporations mistreating the public. He believed in equality for businesses. Roosevelt followed what he named the Square Deal, which gives fair treatment and bargain. His plan of action to be fair was creating the Sherman Antitrust Act. This was the first federal act to give an equal competition to all businesses and not let big monopolies take over. During this time, food and medicine wasn't regulated as much as it is now. People would put many drugs in medicine that didn't help, and old food was being sold. Naturally, Roosevelt felt this wasn't safe, so he made the Pure Food and Drug Act, which helped inspect and regulate the safety of what we consume. Theodore Roosevelt was a member of the Republican Party, yet he was very different from his party. While he was progressive, most of the others favored big monopolies and focused on money. His party opposed his views greatly. Back to the election of 1912, when Roosevelt decided to get back in the game of politics, he continued to preach how America should change for the better, wanting to reform. But his party didn't nominate him for the election. Angered, Roosevelt created his own party. His followers called the Progressives, and newspapers nicknamed him the Bull Moose Party. Theodore Roosevelt was the youngest president elected, president at 42. He was blind in one eye after a boxing match. At one of his speeches, he was shot in the chest and continued talking. The bullet hit some papers and a book he had in his jacket pocket.